Hey everybody, it's Taylor with Boydston Grove, and today we're going to show you how to make a couple patriotic decorations that you can use for this 4th of July. America. Let's get into it. This video is sponsored by Longer. I'm going to be utilizing my Longer Ray5 laser engraver for all these projects, and I'm going to be engraving on these 12" by 12" by 1/8 inch thick or 3mm thick pieces of basswood that I picked up off of Amazon. I'll make sure to leave a link to what I'm using in the description below. Project number 1 is going to be a porch leaner or a porch sign, whatever you want to call it. I started by cutting out some lettering and shapes. I have the laser set to a speed of 400mm at 90% strength. Each of these sheets took less than 10 minutes to complete, so it went by pretty quick. I sprayed some of the lettering red and some blue. I didn't get the blue on film, so you'll just have to believe that it happened. For the actual board part, I used a 6" cedar fence picket. I shaved the sides smooth on one picket and then cut some 1.5" strips from another picket. After trimming off the dog ears, I sprayed the strips blue and the main picket white. Once everything was dry, I used Titebond Quick and Thick and some brad nails to attach the 2 strips to each side of the main picket. Then I laid out my lettering and attached them with glue and brad nails. These pickets are 6 feet tall, so I had some excess, so I cut off about 14 inches. And that completes project number 1. Project number 2 is going to be some wall art or a door hanger, whichever you prefer, and I'm going to utilize that cutoff from the porch leaner. I cut out some more lettering and an image that I worked up on Photoshop. I applied red spray paint to the lettering, but I decided to use some art markers on the flag design. Normally these markers bleed pretty bad on wood, but the engraved lines from the Ray5 kept the colors within the lines very nicely. The larger letters wouldn't fit with the flag design, so I had to cut some smaller ones and attached everything using hot glue and pin nails. But I wasn't about to let those larger letters go to waste, so now we have a 2-sided sign. I attached some eyelets and picture wire to hang the picture from, but I wasn't too crazy about the look of the wire, so off camera I swapped it out for some hemp rope. And that does it for project number 2. Project number 3 is going to be a drink caddy or carrier. I started by cutting out all the pieces from some 1/2" plywood. The pieces for this drink carrier are as follows. The bottom measures 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. The 2 sides measure 8.5 inches by 4.5 inches. The 2 end panels measure 10.5 inches by 6.5 inches. The center divider measures 8.5 inches by 3 inches, and the 2 smaller dividers measure 6 inches by 3 inches. I'll make sure to leave all these measurements in the description if you're interested. I drilled a 7/8 inch hole in the center of each piece, about 1/2 inch from the top end. To make the angles on the two end pieces, I measured 4.5 inches from the bottom and then 1/2 inch from the center of the top. I set up my crosscut sled on the table saw and cut dados in the dividers. I cut a 1/2 inch dado in the center of the two short dividers and two dados 2.5 inches apart in the long divider. I pre-sanded all my pieces, and then I had this great idea to tape them all together in order to engrave them together on the Ray5.
Win, win, win.
Are you sure about that?
Unfortunately, not all the pieces would fit at one time, so I did have to go back and engrave the fourth piece. With all the pieces engraved, I assembled the carrier using glue and brad nails. The dowel was tight enough to be held in place with no adhesive, but you could use some glue if you feel it's needed. To color the engravings, I used the art markers again. As an artist, I'm pretty picky about my art supplies, so I was a little skeptical about these markers, but I've been using them on a lot of art projects lately and they're really growing on me. I'll leave a link to them in the description below if you want to check them out. After a quick coat of shellac, our third project is complete. Alright, that does it for our 4th of July decorations, and what a happy accident that the cutoff from the porch leaner was enough to make the sign that I had already planned on making. And I guess you could say this is 4 projects since our wall decor is actually 2-sided, and if you wanted to, you could add a second sign to the porch leaner also. This drink carrier, more commonly known as a beer tote, makes a great centerpiece for a picnic table. You can fill it full of your favorite refreshments, or napkins and silverware, or condiments for your next cookout. Now, each one of these projects took me less than an hour to make, so you'll easily be able to knock them out before this upcoming 4th of July. I know I themed mine all towards 4th of July, but you can use each project as a template and decorate it for any of the upcoming holidays. We have full dedicated videos for both the drink carrier and the porch leaners. They're pretty old and kind of cringeworthy, so I suggest you go check them out. I'll leave links in the description below. A big shout out and thank you to Longer for supporting our channel, and thank you all for watching. Be safe and have a happy 4th of July.